Hello friends, welcome to our channel. In this video we are going to see QA/QC engineer, inspector interview questions and answers. Before getting into the questions and answers section, please consider to like, share and subscribe. QA/QC engineer, inspector. Quality management systems. 1. Describe the difference between QA and QC. Answer. Quality control is the operational techniques, inspection, examination and testing, that are used to fulfill requirements for quality. Quality assurance is the system of action and planning needed to provide confidence that a product or service will satisfy quality requirements. Two. What do quality system audits evaluate? Answer. The degree of quality system conformance to established requirements. 3. Saudi Aramco has adopted the basic framework and definitions of the International Quality Management System Standards ISO 9000 series. This has been done to provide universal understanding and improve communication between the company and prospective contractors whose quality management system is congruent with the ISO 9000 series. Describe the basic elements of an ISO 9000 series quality program. Answer. Quality management and quality assurance standards per ISO 9000. Quality management systems per ISO 9001, 9002, 9003. Quality plan guidelines per ISO 10005. Schedule. Q is describe a minimum requirement for contractor quality system. ISO 9001 Quality Management System Requirements. ISO 9000 Quality Management System Fundamental and Vocabulary. Quality procedure is used to establish instruction for inspection and control of all construction activities. This will apply to the incoming materials, intermediary and final works. QA, system of action and planning needed to provide confidence that a product or services will satisfy the quality requirements. QC, is the operational techniques, inspection, examination and testing, that are used to fulfill quality requirements. Quality control procedure is a document that details the specific steps needed to fulfill the quality activity in the ITP. Quality control form is a writing documentation detailing a specific activity in the ITP and QC procedure. A code is a body of laws as of a nation, state or industry group, arranged systematically for ease of use and reference. A standard is a rule or a basis of comparison in measuring quality, quantity, content, relative value and etc. A specification is a detailed description of parts or statement of particulars as to actual or required quality, size and etc. P&ID is a piping and instrument diagram show piping layout and detailed notes relating to piping instrumentation. This drawing is commonly referred to as the P&ID. Its object is to indicate all process service lines, instrument and controls, equipment and data necessary for the design group. The process flow diagram is the primary source of information for developing the P&ID. Aramco Code and Standard References. ISO 9001, 2000 Quality Management System. SATIP, Saudi Aramco Typical Inspection Plan. SAIP, Saudi Aramco Inspection Procedure. SAEP, Saudi Aramco Engineering Procedure. SAES, Saudi Aramco Engineering Standard. SAIR, Saudi Aramco Inspection Requirements. SAIC, Saudi Aramco Inspection Checklist. Saudi Aramco Standard Contractor Schedule, Q, Project Quality Requirements. Inspection and Test Plan, ITP, is all about document based on detailed manufacturing, fabrication and construction program that identifies each process description, sets out related sequence of activities to be inspected, examined and tested with relevant approved procedures for particular materials, components and assembly. It includes identification of required documents, acceptance criteria, which is responsible, the inspection surveillance and the type and level of inspection including hold, witness and review points of the contractor, subcontractor and Saudi Aramco. Inspection and test plan should include the following information: process descriptions, quality control requirements, notification requirements for supplier inspection minimum 10-day calendar days, responsibilities for inspection test, acceptance criteria, verifying document, inspection points, hold, witness, review and surveillance. Inspection action point. Hold point, H. An inspection point, defined in an appropriate document, beyond which an activity must not proceed without the approval of the designated organization or authority. Witness, W. An inspection point, defined in an appropriate document, beyond which an activity can proceed after notifying the designated organization or authority. Contractor's QC inspector has the full responsibility for performing detailed inspection during the work activity. Review point, R. Defined in an appropriate document is the point in which a work activity cannot proceed without first ensuring the review and approval of applicable documents or personnel qualification by a designated organization or authority. Surveillance, S. QA/QC organization to monitor work in progress without notice from construction organization. Definition of inspection level is per SAER 1972. Level 0 documentation requirements only, no vendor inspection required. Level 1 only final inspection is required prior to ship-in. Level 2 includes as minimum, pre-inspection meeting, one or more unspecified, in progress, surveillance visits, all witness, hold points, final inspection and release for shipment. Level 3 same as Level 2 except that, in progress, surveillance shall be on a regular basis, daily, weekly or bi-weekly. Level 4 resident inspector continually monitoring the work. Non-conformance. An activity does not conform with an international code, standard. NCR non-conformity report, a record reporting the variation from the specified requirements. CAR corrective action report, it is a record reporting the action take to eliminate the effect and causes of an existing non-conformity defect or other undesirable situation in order to prevent recurrence. Doctor deviation report, a report of the concession granted by client or owner to certain deviation from project specification. Quality Control Inspector Engineer QCI, responsibility, ensuring quality control site surveillance. Witness inspection and test in accordance with SATIP and SAIC. Verifying the inspection reports and validating the results. shall continually inspect the work at site, and all QA/QC documents shall be managed by inspectorate and technical clerk assigned by the quality department. Monitor the timely production of the inspection certificate by construction contractor or subcontractor. Ensure the proper disposition of the non-conformities with the assistance of specialists as required. Metal piping inspection engineer inspector shall be conduct an inspection in accordance with international code and standard, monitoring daily piping activities. Verify compliance according to project specification. Preparing quality record. Final acceptance documentation. Material inspection engineer inspector shall perform the receiving inspection according to SATIP and SAIC as follows. 1. Verifying that all required documents and records have been supplied by the vendors. 2. Review certified material test report, CTMR, and other records received from vendor. 3. Perform visual check that the items have not been damaged during transportation. 4. Verify that all items meet all requirements on material requisition. 5. Verify that the identification markings of the items are identical with CMTR and other relevant document received from vendor. Upon the completion of receiving inspection, material inspector shall prepare material receiving inspection report and shall include the following. 1. Name of item received. 2. Serial ID number. 3. Vendor name. 4. Material requisition number. 5. Material inspector signature and inspection date. After completion of receiving inspection, material inspector shall document the receiving inspection result on the report and provide the copies to material control supervisor and related construction discipline department. Non-conforming items. Items found to be non-conforming at receiving inspection shall be clearly identified and controlled using non-conformance report (NCR) procedure. KGFPM 6008-001. Segregate and place on the hold area and attached hold tag. CAR. Corrective action request issued by the QA/QC manager to the department responsible for non-conforming products. Material receiving. Before inspection takes place, construction department should submit request for inspection (RFI) to the QA/QC department. RFI includes SAIC, Purchase Order Delivery Note Packing List Certificate of Compliance Equipment Test Report Approved Datasheet Approved Drawings Inspection Release Certificate Inspection Disposition Reports. Verify and validate the above documents. Installation Manual. Perform the equipment, material pre-inspection. See to it that the materials and/or equipments are free from defects or damaged during transportation. Material or equipment shall be in accordance with company material requisition, approved standard and specification. Fill in the necessary information on the checklist like name of the item received, serial number, vendor name, material requisition, material inspector signature, inspection date. Once the inspection was carried out, all the pertaining documents should be submitted to Saudi Aramco for signature and acceptance. Final disposition report includes the following: narrative details of quality activities performed during manufacturing and fabrication of the equipment or material. Copies of Saudi Aramco approved waivers. All SAW 175 contractor witness inspections. Copies of supplier quality records as specified in SAW 175. Copies of all NCRs with final dispositions and resolutions. Outstanding punch list items from pre-shipment inspections. Verify that all the requirements specified on the Saudi Aramco Inspection Requirement Form 175-311500 have been met. Materials. All pipe and fittings shall have the material specification and grade stamped, stenciled, or otherwise clearly marked with permanent marking method. Storage. The following requirements shall apply to storage areas relevant to the particular project, which includes, but no limit to, layout yards, receiving areas, warehouse, etc. 1. Pipe shall not be stored directly on the ground. Pipe shall be placed on mounds or sleepers. 2. Stacking of pipe shall be made in a manner to avoid damage to pipes or coating. Refer to SAESH 200. 3. Fittings and valves shall be stored in shipping crates or on racks. 4. End protector on pipes, flanges, weld bevels, threads, and socket ends. Handling. One-lined and coated pipes and fittings shall be lifted with wide fabric or rubber-covered slings, and paddings shall be used to prevent damage to lining or coating in accordance with SAESH 200. Erection and installation, SAESL 350. 1. All sensitive equipment to damage during cleaning and flushing of the piping system shall not be installed and shall be removed if installed prior to commencing the cleaning process. The list of these equipment shall be established during early stages of the execution of the project. Examples of sensitive equipment are rotating machinery, orifices, control valves, flow element, soft valves, glove valves, etc. 2. All erected piping system and components shall be internally clean and free from foreign objects. Cleaning. 1. During project proposal and details design, details procedure for cleaning and flushing of the piping spools and system shall be established, identifying acceptable method that will be applicable for every individual system category. These procedures shall be agreed on by PMT proponent and inspection agency. Prior to installation. As a minimum and prior to installation, erection of pipe spools on the pipe racks and pipe support, the following shall be conducted. 1. All pipes shall be internally cleaned by air blowing. In addition, for large diameters pipes, rag cleaning should be conducted if found practically. 2. All prefabricated pipe spools shall be visually inspected for cleanliness, and shall have foreign material removed from inside. 3. The pipe ends shall be covered after inspection to prevent unauthorized removal of the end cover prior to making the joint to the succeeding section of piping. During assembly and erection. 1. During assembly and erection, the construction agency shall ensure that no foreign materials, such as welding consumables, lumbers, gloves, etc., are lifted inside the piping system. 2. After assembly and installation, the piping shall be cleaned inside to remove all loose material. The cleanliness shall be verified visually and/or by video inspection techniques. Pipe fit-up and tolerances, SAESL 350. 1. Maximum tolerance for axial dimensions, face-to-face, center-to-face, and location of attachment shall be plus or minus 3 mm. 2. Flattening of bends measure is the difference between the largest and the smallest outside diameter of any cross-section, shall not exceed 5% of the nominal diameter of the pipe. Flattening of bends at weld ends shall not exceed 3% of the nominal pipe diameter. 3. Lateral transition of branches and connection from the centerline of the run shall not exceed plus or minus 1.5 mm. 4. Rotation of flanges, measured as the offset between elevation of bolt holes on opposite sides of flange centerline shall not exceed plus or minus 2.4 mm. 5. The tilt of flange measured at the periphery across any diameter shall not exceed 1.6 mm from the square position. 6. Piping over 3-inch NPS and connected to machinery equipment. Flange alignment shall be within the following limits unless piping analysis per SAESL 120 shows that loads and moment are within the manufacturer's limit for the machinery equipment nozzles. A. Vertical bolt hole offset plus or minus 2.4 mm. B. Horizontal bolt hole offset plus or minus 2.4 mm. C. Rotational offset plus or minus 2.4 mm. D. Flange face separation, gasket thickness plus or minus 1.6 mm. E. Combination of vertical, horizontal and rotational offset plus or minus 3.2 mm. 7. A 6 mm weak hole shall be drilled for all dummy support at 6 o'clock position for all horizontal dummy supports. Flange joint tightening methods. 1. Torque wrench method per SAEP 351. O. Torque wrench should be calibrated. O. Apply lubricant to stud thread and face of nut contacting the flange. O. All stud and nuts installed should be hand tight. O. All stud should be number. O. Studs are tighten as number with impact wrench or equivalent following bolt tightening sequence. First stage tightening at 30% of required torque maximum. O. Required torque value and actual attained value are recorded in O. Bolt tightening report. O. Final tightening to plus or minus 5% of torque required, actual torque. O. After tightening all bolts have full thread engagement with the nut. Note: complete engagement less one full thread is acceptable. ASMEB 31.3 par. 335.2.3. 2. Bolt tensioning method. Hydrotight 50% tensioning method. O. Pressure gauge in the tensioning machine are calibrated. O. Mark bolts in 2 sets. Set A and Set B. O. Tensioners are fitted to every other bolt of Set A. O. Pressurize the tensioner to predetermined pressure of per approved procedure. This is repeated 2 more times. O. Transfer tensioner to Set B bolts and pressurize to predetermined pressure B and tighten nuts. This should be repeated 2 times. Note: pressure B is lower in value than pressure A. O. After tensioning, break loose pressure is verified to be greater than or equal to pressure B by the following steps. Fit the tensioner to one of the tension bolt and set a pressurized slowly until the nut is loosened using Tommy bar and socket. Once the nut moves, stop pressurizing and record the achieved pressure. This is the break loose pressure. Note: if BLP less than pressure B, tensioning is fail. SAESA 004 General requirements for pressure testing. Hydrostatic test. A pressure test conducted using water or other approved liquid as the test medium. Pre-start-up test. A pressure test to ensure tightness of flanged and threaded joints at the test pressure. It is normally conducted before initial startup, during commissioning or after T&Is. Pneumatic test. A pressure test conducted using air or other approved gas as the test medium or in conjunction with liquid. Pressure test. A test conducted to piping or equipment by subjecting it to an internal pressure using liquid or gas to ensure strength or tightness of the system at the test pressure. Revalidation test. A pressure test performed to prove the integrity of existing piping or equipment. This test is administered by the proponent organization. Service test. A pressure test conducted at operating pressure using the service fluid. Strength test. A pressure test at an internal pressure determined in accordance with this standard and the applicable code to verify the integrity of the piping systems or equipment for service at the design pressure. SYTEM test. An in situ pressure test applied to a group of piping and equipment tested as a system. Pressure test procedure. Information assembled to ensure all requirements listed in GI 0002.102, all referenced Saudi Aramco standards and industrial standards are met. Tightness test. A pressure test to ensure tightness of the piping system, i.e., no leaks in the system, at the test pressure. All system piping and equipment while pressure tested shall be protected from being overpressured by the following. Relief valve S of adequate capacity set to relieve at 5% above the test pressure shall be installed unless the test pressure is less than 85% SMICE, at which time it can be set at 10% above the test pressure. Sizing of these relief valves used for testing shall follow the requirements of APIRP 520, Part 1. The relief valves shall be tested, dated, and tagged within 1 week prior to the pressure test for new construction projects, and within 1 month for maintenance operations. In addition to the pressure relieving device, a bleed valve shall be provided to protect the piping and equipment from overpressure. The bleed valve shall be readily accessible in case immediate depressurization is required. An isolation valve shall be provided between the pressure testing manifold and the system being tested. The isolation valve shall be rated for the manifold test pressure when in the closed position. Pressure gauges and pressure recorders shall be calibrated before the test. The calibration interval shall not exceed 1 month. Calibration certificates shall be made available to inspection personnel prior to commencement of the pressure test. Stickers shall be applied indicating the latest calibration date. All gauges shall have a range such that the test pressure is within 30 to 80% of the full range. A minimum of 2 pressure gauges are required for the test system. 1 pressure gauge shall be on the test manifold and the others on the test system. Their accuracy shall be within 5% of one another. When large systems are tested, inspection personnel will determine the need for additional gauges. Recording gauges shall be used where it is necessary to keep a permanent record, e.g., when the test duration exceeds 4 hours, or otherwise is required by this standard. Hydro test package content test procedure shall be available at site all times. 1. Flow chart. 2. Hydro test index. 3. SIS test press diagram legend. 4. Piping plan drawing. 5. P&ID drawing. 6. Isometric drawing. 7. Welding summary report including NDT report and RTFI assessment. 8. Support type and drawing. 9. Valve test certificate. 10. Flange joint inspection report. 11. Internal cleaning and flushing report. 12. Pre-test punch list. Punch, should be close prior for preceding test package review and testing. 13. Reinforcing pad pneumatic test report. 14. Calibration report. 15. Filling and pressurization report. 16. Pressure test report. 17. Lay-up report. 18. Reinstatement. 19. Final inspection report. 20. Coating report. Foundation general information. Top of concrete foundation shall have a minimum of 150 mm above finish grade. Not applicable to instrument standpipe, or pedestal inside the building, not subjected to wash-down water. Curing period of concrete foundation should be not less than 7 days after placement or until the compressive strength has reached 70% of the specified strength. All column base plate has a minimum of 4 anchor bolts. Installed padding plate with 25 mm minimum elevation from top of the foundation and level the foundation plate using magnetic leveling or precision leveling. Leveling shims are installed with a maximum top elevation of 25 mm from the top of concrete elevation. Top of the concrete has been roughened or chipped with hammer to remove latents, oil-soaked or damaged concrete to the level of sound concrete or to a minimum of 1 inch 25 mm from the top of the concrete. Top of the bearing surface and the bottom plate should be cleaned thoroughly. Variation in dimension between the centers of any two anchor bolts within an anchor bolt group shall be equal to or less than 1/8. 3 mm AISC Code of Standard Practice for Steel Building and Bridges. Variation in elevation of the tops of anchor rods shall be equal to or less than plus or minus 13 mm AISC Code of Standard Practice for Steel Building and Bridges. Installed the sole plate with plus or minus 1 mm tolerance. Check the dimension of the anchor bolts and the bolt hole of the equipment. Anchor bolts subject to vibration should be provided with additional nut to serve as lock nut. Centrifugal Positive Displacement Pump Reference Standard. SATIPG 005-01 Centrifugal Pump. SATIPG 006-01 Positive Displacement Pump. SATIPG 115-01 Lubrication, Shaft Sealing and Oil System. SAICG 2002 Receiving Inspection of Centrifugal Pump. SAICG 2003 Handling, Storage and Inspection of Centrifugal Pump. SAICG 2004 Inspection of Auxiliary Piping Installation. SAICG 2005 Inspection of Pump Suction and Discharge Piping Con. SAICG 2021 Mounting Plate Installation and Leveling for Pumps. SAICL 2014 Inspection of Bolted Flanges Joint Assembly. SAICG 2022 Final Pump, Driver Alignment. SAICG 2007 Final Inspection, Walkthrough, by Contractor. SAESG 005 Centrifugal Pumps. SAESB 054 Access, Egress and Material Handling of Plant Facility. SAESB 053 Machine Safety Guarding, Elevators, Escalators. 31 SAMSS 004 Centrifugal Pumps. 31 SAMSS 009 Positive Displacement Pump Controlled Volume. 01 SAMSS 017 Auxiliary Piping for Mechanical Equipment. Schedule, Q. Saudi Aramco Quality Requirements. API 610 Centrifugal Pumps for Petroleum, Heavy-Duty Chemical and Gas Industry Services. API 675 Positive Displacement Pump Controlled Volume. Coating Reference Standard. SAESH 001 Selection Requirements for Industrial Coating. SAESH 100 Painting Requirements for Industrial Facilities. SAESH 101 Approved Protective Coating Systems. Pressure Vessel Reference Standard. SATIDD 001 Pressure Vessel Installation. SATIPD 100-01 Field Erected Storage Tank, API 650. SATIPD 109-01 Shop Fab. Storage Tank, API 12F, 12P, UL 142. ASME Sec. 8 Div. 1 to 3 Rules for construction for pressure vessels. API 650 Welded steel tanks for oil storage. API 65132 SAMSIS 004 Manufacture of pressure vessels. 32 SAMSS 005 Manufacture of atmospheric tanks. 32 SAMSS 006 Manufacture of low-pressure storage tank. SAESD 001 Design criteria for pressure vessels. 32 SAMSS 020 Manufacture of trays and packing. SAESW 010 Welding requirements for pressure vessel. SAESW 014 Weld overlay and welding of clad materials. VEFV 111102 Process Industry Practices, Fabrication, Installation. SAESL 350 Construction of Plant Piping. SAESB 054 Access, Egress and Material Handling for Plant Facility. SAESB 006 Fireproofing for Plants. SAESN 001 Basic Criteria, Industrial Insulation. General information on pressure vessel. Hydrostatic testing of a completed pressure vessel shall not exceed 90% of the minimum yield strength. Hydrostatic pressure shall be 1.3 x MAWP as per ASME 8 Div. 1. Holding time shall be 1 hour 25 mm of the vessel shell thickness or in no case less than 1 hour. Medium shall be potable water with 50 ppm chloride and pH equals 10 to 11 and temperature of 170 century alignment shall be within 1/1000th but not more than 25 mm. Orientation tolerance shall be within plus or minus 3 mm. PWHT post-weld heat treatment, applied to some welded steels in order to ensure that the properties of weldment will be suitable for intended applications often called stress relief. Intermediate stress relief equals 6000 C for 1 hour. Dehydrogenation heat treatment equals 3500 C for 4 hours. Specified PWHT area extending at least 6 times the thickness of the material being welded but not less than 25 mm from the edge of the weld, which is greater. If PWHT not perform in furnace, insulation shall be applied 300 mm on either side of the weld. Insulation shall be removed before the temperature has cooled to 1500 C. Minimum soaking time shall be 1 hour per 25 mm of thickness. PWHT benefits. To improve the resistance of the joint to brittle fracture. To improve the resistance of the joint to stress corrosion cracking. To enable welded joints to be machined to accurate dimensional tolerance. PWHT heat sources. Permanent or semi-permanent furnace using gas or oil or electric heater. Electrical resistance heater. Induction heater. Thermocouple location in furnace. Thinnest major component. Thickest member. Top of the vessel. Bottom of the vessel. Temperature recorder shall be calibrated every 3 months or can be extended to 12 months with Aramco approval. Machine surfaces. Flange faces. Threaded bolt holes. Threads, etc. shall be protected from oxidation. It shall be coated with deoxyaluminite or other suitable materials. After completion of PWHT, attachment areas shall be ground smooth. If specified by inspector, areas shall be examined by MT or PT after grinding. Parts of pressure vessel. 1. Head. 2. Shell. 3. Nozzle. 4. Support. Types of vessel supports. 1. Lug support. 2. Leg support. 3. Saddle support. 4. Skirt support. Types of vessel internal. 1. Tray. 2. Inlet distributor. 3. Anti-vortex baffle. 4. Catalyst bed grid and support beam. 5. Outlet collector. 6. Flow distribution grid. 7. Cyclone and plenum chamber system. 8. Demister. To be continued Part 2. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider to subscribe and click the bell button. Like, comment, share. For Part 2 QA/QC questions and answers, link is provided in description. Or else you can go and find in our channel playlists.